Hey there, my name is Rohit Kumar, and today we are going to discuss about the attack surfaces. The understanding of good attack surfaces may help the adversaries or the attackers to gain successful insights from your system. Additionally, if you are a system administrator, then the same info can help you to defend your system and the network. So in this particular video, we are going to explore the concept of possible attack surfaces and what is the role of attack surfaces in IoT ecosystem. So if we do carefully organize this particular today's talk, then we can discuss the IoT ecosystem, the possible attack surfaces, and their respective areas. So coming to the specific detailing of IoT ecosystem, so you must be familiar with the basic IoT definition that all the possible small or the resource constrained devices are the things, and if we form a kind of network of these things, then it becomes IoT. Additionally, there are multiple tools and technologies, specifically lightweight protocols. Those are necessary to get designed to support the actual implementation of IoT. And that's why this all tools and techniques, the users, vendors, additionally, the other kind of third-party APIs, all these are put together, and this particular system is termed as the ecosystem. That's where the term IoT ecosystem comes into form. Now coming to the security specific design of IoT ecosystem, then possible attack surfaces are many. And the key understanding concept is that if you don't have the basic understanding of all of these, then obviously you are not going to design a secure surface area for a specific IoT ecosystem. Now coming to the specific detailing, when we discuss any ecosystem, then there are some devices, means there are some physical devices. So if you have the physical devices, then physical devices interfaces are also there. So first attack surfaces where you have the actual hardware interfaces from where the attacker can launch some sort of attack. So the device physical interfaces is the first form. Secondly, the device web interfaces are also present because on a single physical device, there might be multiple web interfaces. And that's why that also become a particular dangerous point from where the intruders or the kind of adversaries may launch their attacks. Now you might be wondering that why we call these particular things a kind of attack surface. What is the surface or what is the area? So surface is the point means a kind of like we do have the floors or the ceilings sort of concepts in any civil system design, or the kind of, if you say that whenever we are going to discuss the design of a particular system, then we do have some sort of surface area. So similar sort of here we have the virtual concept of the similar sort of physical concept of surface area, and we do define that in terms of security, means how many possible attacks are there or how many the possible adversaries might launch their attacks in a combined form, and that particular large quantity of attackers or the adversaries may define the area of that particular attack surface. So for example, if you have the 4 physical interfaces, then obviously the attack surface area is smaller in comparison to other system where you have the 10 physical interfaces. So I hope you must have got the basic understanding of attack surface and the relative area. Thirdly, if you have the kind of firmware devices, and obviously most of the devices nowadays have firmware. Firmware means there is a dedicated hardware device and some sort of device driver is already implemented on that or is already bound onto the device. And whenever you plug that particular device into your system, that device driver automatically gets installed. The most common example is of pen drive. Whenever you use a new pen drive, then the device driver automatically gets installed into your system if your system doesn't have it already. Now, moving forward, then you may have the device network services, because to run a particular kind of device onto a particular system means the device driver. Then you do need the relative support of different network services. Additionally, if you want to access internet, then there are so many third-party APIs that you need to take care of. And those already working devices and the services onto your system are very much necessary to have your work successfully done. Then the administrative interfaces play a key role because the administrators are the people who handle the whole network or your personal system. And in this way, if you don't secure your administrative interfaces, then it might be a kind of disaster. So administrative interface might be a very crucial attack surface, and its area plays a key role. Now coming to the local storages, because most of the people don't understand this particular point, that they are hardware devices. Specifically, the non-computation oriented devices means when we do consider a microprocessor or the kind of processor of your system, then we do get this particular point quite easily, that it's a processing device, it's capturing, but an adversary or its control into the hands of adversary might be very much difficult from a system administrator point of view. But we don't actually care about the storage devices and sort of things. But here, storage devices are very much useful, and if you don't store your data optimally, then obviously that non-optimal storage may consume more power. Additionally, the fragmentation of the device may lead to the poor performance of the system. Now, coming to the local storage in the form of attack surface area, you must have heard the concept of hardware security. So if you are not going to store your data onto your storage devices optimally, then obviously it may impact you in a variety of ways. Now, coming to the specific role of your data storage, then that particular data storage may consume more power in terms of heat. If I define, then it may generate more heat. You might be wondering that many times your system produces more heat, and usually you must have heard the people saying that your system has been kind of compromised because it is producing too much heat, and there is some sort of worm virus or the malware is present in your system. And it is quite obvious, because whenever a malware comes to your system, and if it's a kind of worm, then obviously it replicates its copies, and all the copies are running. Means in front side you are not seeing any kind of activity, but at the back side of your system, so many different processes are running, and that's why they are consuming the power of the system. They are working in your storage area because their copies are relocating, and they are getting places somewhere in your system. So that's why the storage space is producing more heat. So it might be a reason, but you should also think from this particular perspective also, that the data storage could also be the attack surface, and from there a worm may form a disastrous form into your system. Coming to the cloud web interfaces, cloud is the key technology of present era, and the web interfaces may get connected to the cloud interfaces with the help of third-party APIs. And whenever you are using a particular service, it doesn't matter which company, it might be Amazon, Microsoft, or any other provider. But the most important thing is your web interfaces and the cloud web interfaces. And in between, there might be any third-party APIs. So if you are having these sort of things, then these are the kind of things that may define the security of your overall connection. So in this way, you need to be careful about the cloud web interfaces. Those are being used at cloud side and their respective securities. So you should read the terms and policies. Additionally, you should be very much aware about your web interfaces. Those are present at your site. So the ports and the what kind of services that you are running through some particular ports, that you need to be carefully aware about it. Then moving to the third-party backend APIs, because in front end you use so many APIs and you usually remain aware of it. But at the backside also, so many APIs do perform their works, and you should be careful about these particular APIs also if you are a system administrator particularly, because a normal user doesn't have the kind of insights about the APIs or specifically the backend APIs. But if you are a system administrator, you should consistently monitor the network. And additionally, if you are a network administrator, then definitely it's your duty to think of that what sort of services, which particular ports are open, what sort of applications are running onto your system from third party or the outside networks. Additionally, you should also see that what sort of traffic is running onto your network, and these backend APIs play a key role in managing all these sort of services. Then moving on to the update mechanism, usually we do not care about this particular thing, but it is a very simple but very important thing, that we don't update our systems regularly. Many times you might be seeing that we are getting alert from the system or the administrator side that kindly update your system, but we just delay that. It is not a necessary thing, but it is a very crucial thing and very simple thing that you can do to safeguard your system, but we usually don't do it. This overlooking practices might be very harmful or disastrous for you, because the regular updates are very much necessary to protect against the state of the art attacks. And if you are not aware of the current attacks, it means there are many zero form attacks, means 0-day attacks that you usually define them in this particular form. Why do we call these the 0-day attacks? Because there are kind of attacks of which you don't have any kind of knowledge, and even the experts don't have any kind of knowledge, because these attacks are very new, and that's why no any specific form of analysis or the research is present in the market to study the behavior of these attacks. So that's why your consistent update mechanism cannot guarantee you, but at least safeguard or give you a kind of assurity that your system may remain safe from the kind of adversaries or the possible attacks. Then moving on to the mobile applications, and the mobile applications are very much susceptible to these attacks because the wireless connectivity is very much poor, and specifically if you are roaming into a distant places, then the connection might be very poor, and that's why you cannot update your system regularly. And usually we also perform, because we do perform these sort of activities, that we don't update our system. So why? Because we don't have enough data. Many times you might be also having this sort of practices, that when you have some free Wi-Fi area, then usually you think of updating your system. Otherwise, you think, oh, I have 1 GB of data only for today, so I have to waste it in updation. So updation looks a kind of waste of data activity, but it is not like this. It is a very much important activity. It doesn't matter whether you have data or not. You should go for it if possible. Then the vendor backend APIs are also important. As I told you, that if you are having the cloud web interfaces, then some of the APIs might be working over there. So which particular vendor services you are using, you should be aware of it. And the both front end as well as the backend APIs play important role. You should be aware of it. Then the ecosystem communication is important, because there are so many different players, like the users, vendors, third party, and respective front end APIs, backend APIs, then the mid-level communication protocols, etc. So all these different kind of parties and their heterogeneity play a very critical ecosystem role, and this particular role might be, I should not say might be, it must be safeguarded. And this particular communication can be safeguarded only if you design the right kind of protocols, and if you are making sure that that particular protocol is being followed at all the parties successfully. So you need to be aware that what sort of attack are possible from backend side, from front end side, from vendor side, from user side, and from the tenant side, etc. Then moving on to the network traffic, as I told, that if you're network administrator, you should be very much careful that what sort of traffic is going on. Many times we do think that our traffic is encrypted, so it is not necessary to regularly monitor the traffic. Nobody can capture, and even if the traffic get captured, nobody can decode. But it is not like that. At least the eavesdropping can be performed on your network, and your behavior, your profile behavior can be observed. For example, if you are working for 2 hours only in 24 hours, and you are thinking that nobody is going to know that when I am working in this particular duration of 24 hours. So somebody might be very much might be clever enough to just monitor your network, and though your network traffic is encrypted, just by seeing the flow of packets in a particular duration only, somebody can easily guess that you are working in these 2 particular hours. So in this way, your traffic, whether it's encrypted or non-encrypted, if it is being monitored, it might be a risk for you. Then the authentication and authorization are key concepts of security. It doesn't matter whether it's a network security or information security. And if you are going for the proper authentication, then you can help to maintain the kind of authorization. Then the privacy, it's a kind of fundamental right, and that's why just to maintain your privacy in the ecosystem of IoT, you need to be very much aware about the kind of protocols and additionally the constraints of your devices. Then only you can maintain, because just to maintain the privacy, you need to implement the secure protocols. But if your device is not powerful enough, its memory and the kind of processing powers are very much limited, then obviously you cannot go for the high safety protocols. Then you need to be careful that which particular protocol is suitable for your implementation. Then there are some other many factors like the service level agreements, and in service level agreements you do define the kind of behavior that is expected from the vendor side, that is expected from the user side. Additionally, what is the role of the third party APIs, how frequently the updation can happen in the network, etc. So I hope there are so many different things considering the heterogeneity of the IoT environment, and from all possible point of view, you should consider the kind of attacks and their relative surfaces and the areas. So that's all from my side for this particular lecture. I think you must have liked this particular video. If you don't like, please do criticize and tell us that what we can do to improve our analysis. And I hope you must be getting the right kind of analysis from here. So hopefully it will help you to prepare you for the future. Thanks for watching. Happy learning.